Good afternoon, or good morning, should I say, East Coast time in Australia, and welcome to the final round, round 7 of the National Wheelchair Basketball League. This is game 3 of the series between the Southern District Spartans and the Wollongong Rollerhawks, the Just Better Care Wollongong Rollerhawks, and of course Carina Leagues Club, the fantastic sponsor of the Southern District Spartans. It's game 3, as I mentioned, of the last round before the finals weekend, next weekend, which will be held in Shell Harbour. And my name's Brendan Parnell, and I'm joined by Campbell. Campbell, can you explain a little bit of the first 2 games this weekend?
Yeah, we saw the Rollerhawks come ahead in both games, first game 11 and the second game 22, but really competitive games between these two teams. I think those numbers not necessarily being too important to how the game was played. Both teams looking very, very strong, especially on the side of the Spartans coming through. Obviously, Ethan Laird, one of the new additions to the roller squad, the men's wheelchair basketball team, the men's national wheelchair basketball team, and Jordan Bartley being very strong for the side of the Spartans. But the Rollerhawks, the veterancy in the Rollerhawks just being a little bit too strong. But I think they've certainly got a chance, the Spartans, to catch up in this game and kind of keep it alive.
Right, this game coming to you from Roland Cowan Stadium in Queensland, and as we see the teams in their last-minute huddles. Campbell, it's a critical game really for Wollongong, even though they've cemented their place within the top 4. The top 4 teams will go to the finals weekend next weekend. A win today would vault them over the top of Perth and put them into the second spot, which would give them a double chance. One plays 2 in the major semi-final next weekend.
Yeah, it'll put them in a really good position and really give them kind of that energy that they need, that burst going into the finals, keeping their heads up, especially going into games against probably the Salties, that will be very difficult, very competitive. But it will be a really good showing and a really good test of them this game to see how they can lead into those finals.
As we see the Spartans in the white uniforms just shaking hands with the referees. Their starting lineup is Jordan Bartley in 0, Ethan Laird in 4, Hayden Seabar in 7, Shannon Buxton in 9, and Jake Fullwood in 23. And it was Jordan Bartley and Ethan Laird who led the scoring for their team in the first 2 games, with 27 combined points for Bartley and 34 for Laird. The starters for the Rollerhawks, it's Sean Russell in 1, Tristan Knowles in 19, Hannah Dodd in 9, Stephen Elliott 10, and Luke Popel in 13. And we're underway. First possession with the Rollerhawks. Tristan Knowles using the screen there from Sean Russell. Fires away with the 3. Campbell, you were mentioning before, he's 40% three-point shooting this season.
Yeah, that's going to be the danger in this game. If the Spartans are willing to let him take those threes, he will eventually start hitting them, and that could be a detriment to them.
So we see Bartley, the ball kick across to Laird. His first shot is off. Knowles with the rebound. Some backcourt pressure already from Jake Fullwood there. Ball finds its way back to Knowles. He drives baseline, expertly using the screen. Makes the layup.
I think we're going to see a lot of that coming through Tristan Knowles. He was ball handling almost the entire game last night. I think that's going to be really the thing to stop for the Spartans here.
That ceiling screen from Jake Fullwood there, it's really a statistical category that we need to find a way to measure.
Especially in the wheelchair game, there's so many screens that go unnoticed.
Bartley back to Laird, shot clock running down, as you can hear in the background, and in fact it expired before Ethan Laird could get that shot off. Both teams allowed 24 seconds to shoot, and if you're watching, you can see that's the red number, 24 seconds, which will start now for Wollongong on the top of the scoreboard. As the Hawks in transition, the Roller Hawks there. The layup by Sean Russell. Some token backcourt pressure there. Ethan Laird finds Jordan Bartley. Hayden Seabar might have thought there was some contact there. Or contact that at least warranted a foul, but nothing forthcoming.
And that's such a difficult shot for him to make at the baseline from such a low position. That's almost a Hail Mary shot at that point.
Knowles cuts through the middle of the key, thinks better of that shot. Back to Popel, his shot's off. Interior shot from forward, just astray. Knowles again, pivoting, back fourth. Back around to Popel. Ball finds its way back to Knowles. He measures the three. He's off.
Both teams just really struggling on the scoring here. I think this is a stark contrast to last night's game where the shooting was very effective for both teams.
Jordan Bartley finds Hayden Seabar careening through the key, but he's just unable to take enough pace off that layup, and it was a little too solid, but the ball will stay with Southern Districts. Skip pass to Laird. His pass into the keys deflected. There's a significant amount of contact there. Tristan Knowles knocked backwards out of his chair, popped straight up.
Laird getting a little bit aggressive there. I think he was certainly not expecting that to be a charge. I think he knew exactly what he'd done.
Really nice cut underneath the basket from Russell. He makes the layup. Early stages. It's been all Wollongong in the scoring department. Tricky lob inside. Jake Forward managed to catch it, but he was double teamed. And I think Spartans coach Thomas Cole maybe wants to have a chat about how they're going to get themselves on the scoreboard.
Yeah, I think they're struggling even on the defensive side. They've kind of got two things that they need to pick up on, being Tristan Knowles with those outside shots. We know that he'll take threes, he'll take outside shots comfortably. But if they go to that, then they're letting Sean Russell into the key, getting those inside points, which are where they're getting their points currently. I think it's a difficult thing to decide which of those is more threatening, with both of those players being very very competitive, very good shooters.
As we see in that, while the teams talk tactics, our three female referees discussing their own teamwork. That's Christine Ryman, Kelly Griffin and Kim Walters. Fantastic to see three young women managing this game today. The Roller Hawks just a little slow to get themselves back on the floor. It is their third game this weekend. We'll excuse them.
I think we're even seeing that with the scoring attempts here from both teams just being a little bit tired on this third game.
Ethan Laird probably had a little too much on that pass. Trying to find a cutter there, and it's sailed harmlessly out of bounds.
It looked like he was trying to decide between two cutters that he actually had inside and kind of went between them.
Stephen Elliott kicks the ball across to Tristan Knowles. He's completely unguarded at the three-point line, which I can only think is an error. But he kicks it across to Popel. Back to Knowles. lines the seams up and swishes the 3.
Spartans looking very comfortable to just leave him at that point. They weren't looking to jump him at all.
A deliberate tactic, you think, Campbell?
I would think so early, and maybe see if he's feeling it, see if he hits a few, and then decide what to do from there.
So we see another miss from Southern Districts. It's Popel. Back to Knowles. He's guarded this time. Drives middle. Ethan Laird cuts him off. Back to Popel. Back to Knowles. Lines the seams up again. Not quite the same result. Stephen Elliott's first to the rebound. Knowles the cut. Tries the 2-hand layup. His chair was moving a little too quickly there. Bartley looks inside. Laird spins on a dime. Finds Fullwood. Ball just refuses to go in the basket. Fullwood again. Surely this time? No. He must be thinking the rings are made of concrete at this stage. It's Knowles off and rolling. Uses a multitude of screens. Comes back around. Back to Popel. He's left alone. He lines up the 3. That's off. Laird the rebound. Fullwood. Laird cuts through the key, unable to get it back. Jordan Bartley makes the cut, and our officials find some contact. And it will be 2 free throw attempts. As Jordan Bartley fouled in the act of shooting. Chance for the Spartans to get their scoring underway. And as has been the case in the first 6 minutes, ball zips around the rim a few times and finds its way out. And that second one's a little long. Knowles the rebound. Spartans scrambling back defensively. Knowles uses the Russell screen. Kicks it across, gets it back. Skip pass again. Popel measures the banker.
That was a lot more of the pressure that I was expecting to see on the Spartans' defensive side. A lot of very quick movement. The triple switch after the pick and roll attempt from the Rollerhawks, forcing that outside shot. But we know that Popel and Knowles both really like their outside shots.
As we see another timeout, and each team has 2 timeouts in the first half and 3 in the second half. And an opportunity for the teams and the officials to try and get things back on track. How do you think the Spartans would assess their season, this being the last game of the... Remembering it's the first full season of home and away since 2022, and prior to that there was the disruption, so it's been tricky for all the franchises to get things back in place.
I think they've certainly got a lot to be proud of. I mean, they've got a lot of very young players on the Spartans side, a lot of juniors coming through, and players from a couple different states coming in as well. So I think they've got a lot to be proud of, and a lot to look for in the coming seasons, especially with Ethan Laird having a fantastic season really, and looking forward to his commitment in the Rollers. I think it's been a good starting season for the Spartans really.
It's interesting on that note, anybody who's a follower of Wheelchair Basketball Australia on any of their social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and in fact it's the YouTube site where Wheelchair Basketball Australia's had a series of cameos of various players as Jake Fullwood gets the scoring underway for Southern Districts, and Campbell Message featured this week, and he spoke beautifully about the importance of having a national league. A man who went to the Athens Paralympics, retired, and is encouraged to come back playing for the Red Dust Healers this year, but yeah, if you get a chance, a fantastic series of video interviews. That's the third of those released. As the Roller Hawks can't find a score there. Ethan Laird probing into the key. Almost had a layup there, deflected. Forward to the rescue.
This is much better from the Spartans. This is coming out of that timeout. I think they've kind of locked in what they were planning on doing and kind of found their rhythm.
Official just having a chat there with Sean Russell. Luke Popel driving baseline. Part of the rollers setup. It'll be at the Paralympics in about 3 weeks' time. As will that man Tristan Knowles that launches the three. As will this man, Ethan Laird, probing on transition. Takes a bump out of his chair. He looks up despairingly. But Stephen Elliott appeared to have position there.
I think just getting a little bit ahead of himself with that, thinking that he had found a line and not respecting the speed on the defense necessarily.
Here's a young man that wears the youngest of all the rollers who will compete in Paris. Wears his heart on his sleeve, which is one of his strengths, as we see a steal by Jordan Bartley. Drives baseline and finds a foul.
I think Laird adds a lot of aggression and kind of what you might call young speed to this Rollers squad. I think it's going to be very valuable for them when they go to Paris.
Yeah, I think I'm looking forward to seeing him with some of the older heads. I think he'll provide a real change of pace. So he pump fakes the three, guarded by one of those more experienced players, Tristan Knowles. Fortunately, that shot comes up short. It's just a little under 2 minutes remaining in the first quarter. It's round 7, the final round of the regular season of the Wheelchair National Basketball League, brought to you by the Beluga Foundation. Knowles with the ball, wheels away from the screens, tries to go middle, forward cuts him off, across to Popel. He's been the outlet valve for much of this first quarter. Skip past to Laird. He contemplates the three, comes back to it. It's a little long. Hannah Dodd, the only female player on the floor, deflects that rebound, controls it. Knowles, baseline, cut off, wheels back around. Forward comes to deny him, but he manages to get the ball back to the middle of the key.
I think the Roller Hawks doing well to take their time on that and not necessarily look for that outside shot, but wait until they can get something inside where they know Sean Russell will hit all of those points.
As he did then. Laird, guarded by Knowles. Zach Binns on the floor. One of the youngsters. He opens his scoring account. Knowles left alone again, playing with fire there. Only 40% three-point shooter, but he's a little short. Bartley back to Binns, to Laird, wide open. He can't resist that three. And his reaction is, as the first quarter expires, is priceless. I think he feels that he should have made a few more of those by now. But anyway, a very, very timely three-point shot to bring the margin back to just 3, Campbell, at the end of the first quarter.
Yeah, I think that's a really valuable way to end, and not only for the clear confidence boost, but certainly to give the Rollerhawks a little message that, hey, we're still here. We're not letting up at all. And the Spartans, obviously, with that kind of 6-minute struggle at the start, doing well to come back a little bit and keep this game in competitive nature.
Yeah, I think head coach Thomas Kyle, as we just cut away from the two teams at their quarter time break, there would be somewhat ecstatic, if you can be when you're trailing, to only be behind by 3 points.
Yeah, and I think especially with that start, they've looked very strong in those last 4 minutes. I think they've definitely got a lot to be proud of and a lot to come at this second quarter with.
The Spartans at the moment are sitting in 5th. They're locked into that position, 5th of the 7 teams in this first year of the revamped National League. Prior to this weekend, if they'd managed to win this series, they might have been able to hold that 4th spot and get to the finals. Do you think, what's the ideal size looking like for the league in future years, Campbell? What?
I think it varies a little bit. Obviously, you want to have teams that are competitive, and you want to be able to have teams that have all players that are kind of matching at the same level. I think 1 or 2 extra teams in the league would be a really good, really valuable addition, and there certainly are the players around to add in. Especially with younger players kind of coming up, this is a really powerful thing. Especially, obviously, we've seen with Ethan Laird getting a lot of court time here. I think it's a really valuable thing that we could expand a little bit into.
And the 3-game format, the idea of playing, most teams have played 2 games on a Saturday, 1 game on a Sunday on their road trips. That's a workable format?
Yeah, I really like it. I think it's a lot more sustainable than the 1 game, kind of flying out for 1 game and then flying back. I think it's a little bit of a wasted time that they've done previously. I think this is a really valuable thing to get 3 games in. We have seen a couple teams have those games not all go the same way, and I think that's a really valuable test.
As we see, Southern Districts run a brilliant exchange of passing out of the inbound play. Finished up with Jake Fullwood making a layup. We have a 1-point game. Tristan Knowles drives middle. Finds his outlet. Luke Popel, his shot does everything but fall. And Zach Binns, a de facto point guard role, sails down the middle, unguarded, and makes a layup to put Southern Districts as unlikely leaders.
I think the Rollerhawks defense paying a little too much attention to Ethan Laird there and just allowing Binns to roll straight through.
Nick Taylor with the ball there, back to Emini. Ball back to Taylor, his shot's off. Ethan Laird away and running again. There's a shortage of defenders back there as well. Shannon. Jordan Bartley there with the layup.
Not sure what they could have done, but this quarter time break has really been powerful for the Spartans here. I think if you're Thomas Kyle, you're pretty happy with this showing in the first couple minutes.
Seems to be a little bit of confusion, some substitutes coming onto the floor, a little bit of interaction between, some explanation from the Southern District's coaching staff, but we're underway again. Knowles drives middle. Popel, the shot clock running down. Missed a couple, might have gone a bit gun shy. Kicks to Russell, his shot's off. Binns with the shot there. It falls harmlessly off. Knowles always dangerous in transition. Across to his left. Cut off again. Defenders everywhere scrambling to stay in front of him. Popel with the shot clock running down. Knowles Back to Taylor, drives baseline, back to Knowles. Leaves him to set up a Hail Mary. Ethan Laird managed beautifully to keep control of that. And what a fantastic three-quarter court pass. Zach Binns did a tremendous job to pull that in. Back to Laird, back to Binns. He looks at 2, inside to Fullwood, layup.
Spartans finding everything here.
It looks like a different team.
I think their passing being better, their communication being better, and the Rollerhawks just being a little bit in shock at this point.
Taylor left completely unguarded. Finds Russell under the hoop.
And that's the point that he will never miss from.
Ethan Laird, the lob to Fullwood. It's deflected. Desperate attempt by Tristan Knowles to save it. You can hear there Nick Scott on for Wollongong. Ethan Laird found his range. As he buries 3 more. A 6-point lead for the Spartans. Back to Knowles, drives baseline. Ball kicks across to Taylor. He looks at the 2. Nice stroke, but a little short. Laird's off and rolling with the rebound. He's cut off, wheels back around. Slight bobble. Back to Binns. He's at the free throw line. Says I can make that, and does.
I think this is very threatening for the Rollerhawks in this game. Obviously, we know that the Spartans can't come back into finals contention here, but really showing that they're not gonna let anything go.
As Luke Purple drives to his left, swings the ball back to his right with the underhand layup. Ethan Laird picked up there. Nick Scott, Binns, exchange of passing, back to Binns. He's proven the X factor thus far. So we're halfway through the second quarter, almost halfway through the second quarter. This game, round 7 of the National Wheelchair Basketball League. Brought to you by Wheelchair Basketball Australia from the Roland Cowan Stadium in Queensland. As Rollers star Tristan Knowles drives middle, incredibly misses that layup. Ethan Laird off to the races. Jake Fullwood trailed him down. Beautiful 2-on-1 break there.
I think this is the point. If you're the Rollerhawks, you call a timeout. You take a second to kind of recoup. This is the run of the Spartans. It's quite impressive here.
Well, Nick Taylor is the player coach today for the Rollerhawks, and I'm wondering whether that's a difficult role to adapt to, being a functioning player and a head coach. Binns growing in confidence, gets it back. They've left him alone at the free throw line again. He buries it.
Binns shooting over 80% at this point. I think that's the player that you've got to be locking out if you're the Rollerhawks. You've got to be looking at him, not Ethan Laird.
Beautiful screen there. Allows Luke Popel to waltz in baseline. Ethan Laird, he was looking at the 3 there. Makes a little circle cut. Comes back. His chair speed is fantastic. He managed to weave his chair between a almost imperceptible gap there, draw some contact, and flung up a hopeful attempt. Happy to be going to the free throw line.
Substitution for Wollongong. Coming back into the game, number 10, Stephen Elliott, and number 9, Hannah Dodd. 2 shots to number 4, Ethan Laird.
As Ethan Laird was fouled in the shooting motion, he will get 2 chances for 1 point from the free throw line. Takes a long breath, calmly makes the second. Spartans quite happy not to put any pressure on in the backcourt.
I think they know that they risk a lot if they put some pressure on there. The Rollerhawks having a lot of speed through Tristan Knowles.
It's pretty much 5 chairs in the paint. Ethan Laird draws the foul there. He's really worth watching. Even forgetting the rest of the game, his animation is fantastic as he has discussion with the young officials just about how the contact occurred, whether there might have been another interpretation, which I'm sure he has.
I think he'd be very lucky to get that overturned in that situation. Those fouls are pretty consistently called.
Yeah, all very calm and nice to see the officials allowing that amount of interaction.
It's worth noting on the side of the coaching side of the Spartans, viewers may have noticed that there are two seemingly coaches, Tom Kyle and Thomas Kyle. Tom Kyle being the senior father and son duo, kind of mainstays in the Queensland wheelchair basketball community.
I wonder how the father and son configure their the hierarchy of things.
Well, it seems that Thomas, the younger of the two, is taking the reins on this Spartan side and clearly doing something correct at this point with the 11-point lead.
Right, so it's Wollongong to get us back underway. They trail incredibly based on the previous 2 results and the competition standings by 11. As Tristan Knowles has it poked away. Ethan Laird back to Bartley. Back across to Laird. They're going to allow him to shoot that. 3. It's off. Hannah Dodd the rebound. Hannah Dodd is a female player playing in the men's league. Allowed a red card or 1 point reduction. And the point total that she adds to the 14.5 that's allowable as Tristan Knowles makes a great pass inside that leads to a layup. Jordan Bartley tries baseline, uses this as the screen from Charles Smart. Skip past the Laird, almost knocked him out of his chair. He gathers himself, but he's off with the 2-pointer. Knowles the rebound. Some chaos heading down the floor. Stephen Elliott out of his chair, back up. Sean Russell in his patented spot. Again, under the basket.
Yeah, if he gets to that point, you've made a mistake to let him get to that point. He's not going to miss those shots, and he's got very long arms to get the passes in.
Just 2 minutes left. Second quarter. So a very flat banker from Jake Fullwood finds its way into the basket.
Passing for both teams really being on point here, having a lot of pressure on those high passes to get right into the key.
So we find an offensive foul assessed on Luke Popel there. Southern Districts managing to get their chair square in front of Popel. Critical last 1 minute 45 here. Southern Districts have been so good to at least be able to maintain this lead, if not expand on it. Bartley to Laird. He's allowed to cruise close to the basket, just a little too strong with that shot. Foul in the backcourt. Just the first foul for Jake Fullwood.
For anyone that watched the game last night, they'll know the Spartans not afraid to get a few fouls. Fullwood racking up quite a few in that game. So this is it's surprising for that to be the first at this point.
Tristan Knowles looks exasperated himself. Felt there was some contact there, launched the shot. It was about 10 feet short. He's asking the officials, surely there was something there. Zach Binns with the shot fake, growing in confidence, wheels back around, kicks to a circling Ethan Laird. Laird inside, ball finds its way back to Binns. Whoa, his shot does a lap of honour and goes down. He's really in white hot form at the moment.
Shooting 83% at this point. I mean, that's the shooter that you've got to be stopping at this point.
Luke Popel back to Tristan Knowles. There'll be some alarm bells ringing for the Roller Hawks. If they did not manage to win this game, they would fall into a tie with the Perth Wheelcats for that second spot. It's likely they would have the head-to-head. They've been beaten them 3 times earlier this year, but they won't want it to get to that. Tristan Knowles guarded on the 3-point line, skips to Popel. Smooth 2-point shot from him.
I think that's what the Roller Hawks need to do. They don't need to take outside threes. They just need to take calm shots that they can hit.
As Ethan Laird launches a almost half-court shot with the time expiring in the second quarter. It's short, but a 9-point lead, and a highly unexpected 9-point lead for the Carina Leagues Club Southern District Spartans.
Yeah, fantastic play by them. I think obviously that scoring coming through Zach Binns, who's a fantastic shooter at this point. I think it'll be really important to keep him on as long as he can go, and kind of get all the scores that they can out of him, keep him at that high percentage. And really that defense locking down the Roller Hawks, forcing those outside shots. They've only had a couple with Sean Russell inside, and that's been really powerful.
And the statistics add to the story of what we've seen enacted on the floor, with the 22-14 rebound count, and Southern District's the only team to have made a 3-point attempt. Ethan Laird finding a couple.
Yeah, just Spartans really being dominant at this point. Obviously, only 9 points. It's certainly a deficit the Roller Hawks can make up, but yeah.
All right, we will be back in a couple of minutes while the teams take a break and get themselves organised. Back for the second half. Okay, welcome back to the second half of this round 7 clash of the Wheelchair National Basketball League. It's round 7, as I mentioned, last round before the finals next weekend in Shell Harbour, which will feature the top 4 teams from the men and women's competition, and play is underway. My name's Brendan Parnell, joined by Campbell Fraser. Campbell, no surprises there. Tristan Knowles.
I think
Means business.
I think that's exactly how the Rollhawks needed to start. They need to come back firing, and really with the strength and the height of Tristan Knowles.
With head coach Brendan Dowler not on the bench this weekend, it's Nick Taylor. It would have been fascinating to hear what the Rollerhawks had to say to each other as they faced a really unexpected 9-point deficit, which Knowles has managed to cut to 6. He looks at another, well, I thought it was a 3, but it's actually a brilliant pass inside to his running mate Russell. He makes the layup. There's a bit of a lock-up of chairs there. Wheels getting caught.
Once again, Russell in that point, once he gets to that inside shot, they're going to find a pass to it.
In fact, that wheel's off and it's straight back on. Spartans nursing a 4-point lead now, just a minute into the second half. Forward has been so instrumental. Inside, a little long with that one. Knowles the rebound. Popel cut off on the baseline. Russell, catch and finish in one hand, all in one motion.
Noticeably, Ben's not in for the Spartans at the moment. Shooting at 83%. Could be very valuable to bring him back out.
Laird drives middle. Little 3-man game. Back to Buxton. Shot clock running down. Laird will be aware behind the back pass when it maybe a hopeful shot would have been the better advised option. Shot clock does expire.
I think there was almost no hope in that situation where he had to catch the ball from. Kind of very hard to bring it up and shoot before the before the dominant Tristan Knowles was coming in to defend.
Speaking of the dominant Tristan Knowles, he launches a 3, which falls harmlessly out of bounds. But a 7-0 run to start this second half has seen the just better care Wollongong Rollerhawks nudge their way back to be within 2 of the lead. The youngest roller, Ethan Laird, wheels back around to Seabar, back to Laird, drives on his left middle, finds some contact before the shot.
Very lucky to get that foul called just on the side of him before he got the charge coming into Hanadod there.
I think Tristan Knowles agrees with you, remonstrating there, or at least coming up with an alternate explanation.
I think it was milliseconds before that charge was coming in.
Jake forward rolls off the floor. It's the man whose hands were on fire in the first half, Zach Binns. He's back on in number 11. Ethan Laird looks at the 3. It's a good stroke. Does everything but fall. Knowles cut off at the 3-point line to Popel. Runs a little handoff with Knowles. He drives middle, a little bit of contact. Russell. His own spot, the spot he's made his own under the basket. Recipient of all assists. Bartley with the ball for Southern Districts, who are yet to score this quarter. Back to Laird, a bullet pass inside. Bartley, short, his own rebound, back to Laird, who was starting to retreat defensively. He's picked up by Russell, but the officials have spotted a 3-second violation. The Spartans will turn it over. They've started this second half the way they started the first half, Campbell.
Yeah, the Rollerhawks coming out here being very, very strong, and Spartans not quite finding their shots, but that could be an indicator that it could go well for the Spartans in the second part of this second half.
Russell again, beautiful pass from Popel. Officials just call a halt as Popel spilled out of his chair, managed to get himself up very expediently. An 11-0 run as the Spartans trailing by 2. Buxton at the free throw line, back to Binns. He's being hotly attended, understandably. Shot clock's running down again. Laird inside. Oh! Shot agonisingly rolls out for Buxton. For Bartley, I beg your pardon. There's Tristan Knowles for Wollongong. Operating on the right side of the floor, but an offensive foul is called way over on the left-hand side of the floor as players were trying to free themselves up. You quite often see this, Campbell, a long way away from the ball, that there'll be a series of manoeuvring of chairs to try and deny people access to make a cut towards the ball.
And there can certainly be a lot of contact in there happening off the ball when you don't have the the added risk of dealing with the ball, especially with the fast players that we see on both teams here.
Laird drives middle, finds the reliable Binns, who even he can't make it go. Rebound spills away from Seabar, back into Wollongong hands. Sean Russell goes behind the back just because he can. I think he was aware that the whistle had gone, just a little party trick there.
Showing he's having a little bit of fun on court. Always good to see.
Sometimes officials won't take too kindly with players taking shots after whistles have clearly gone, but no damage this time. So we see another blocking foul called.
Ethan's third personal foul, second team foul.
Spartans just getting a little bit flustered on their defense here, kind of not letting anything run.
It's the second team foul for the quarter for the Spartans. Of course, they're allowed on the 5th foul and beyond, it's an automatic 2 shots. Stephen Elliott cuts middle, gets a great pass from Tristan Knowles and finishes. And 13-0 the run now. As Laird drives baseline, seems to get clipped. Sails out of bounds, but no call. And now it's the man you don't want in the paint, or what would be the paint. Knowles, he thinks better of it, wheels out, lines the seams up, thought about 3. Faked a few people out. Luke Popel's long bank shot is off. Bartley to Binns. Uses the Buxton screen, drives baseline, cut off, back to Laird, shot clock running down again. Laird tries to flip it inside. Comes out of his chair, and the officials call a halt.
Rollerhawks looking a lot more dominant here, really stepping up that defense, especially on Binns. As we noted in the first half, he kind of being allowed to run whatever he wanted to run as the defense was a little too focused elsewhere. They've really switched onto that and kind of shut that down.
Nice little exchange there between Sean Russell and Ethan Laird. Flipped his chair onto his side to allow him to get himself up and just checking he was okay. Of course, both members of the Australian rollers would head to the Paralympics in about 3 weeks' time. With everything to play for. And this National Wheelchair Basketball League, a fantastic lead-in to that event. The entire Australian men's team competing for the 7 teams in the league. As Tristan Knowles' shot is off, Ethan Laird the rebound. Buxton provides a screen for Laird. He drives middle. Charge is the call. Ethan Laird is always highly emotional. It's one of his strengths, and the young official just reminding him to keep it calm. As we see a timeout called. Ethan still pleading his case.
I think I'm a little disappointed with both defenders kind of coming in, both sides pinching in towards, but they actually did find solid position, and you don't necessarily have to be a single defender there, but if you do hit both defenders at the same time and charge into both, it will be considered a charge. Yeah, it's a difficult call to make, but
the charge block is the most difficult call in all basketball. Yeah, highly subjective. Officials have to watch things happening at normal speed once, and as you said there, with Ethan driving baseline, there was 4 chairs almost in the same piece of real estate. Certainly some contact, and they have a split second to try and make an interpretation, and they certainly did explain as much as they could very professionally there, which is all you can ask from any official.
And I think that's really good to see from the officials, not being too harsh on it, but just saying, this is the call that I've made, move on, and not letting emotions get too high.
But we are now a little over 6 minutes into the third quarter, and the Southern District Spartans have yet to score. And they've seen 13 points piled on the other way. Tristan Knowles has all the time in the world to align the seams on the basketball and shoot a 3 from the top of the key to compound the problems. Ethan Laird uses the screen, crosses over, wheels back around, finds Bartley, back to Laird. Again, shot clock running down and not a lot happening. Laird drives baseline, goes glass, claps his hands in. I guess it's an expression of release of frustration, I would say. But again, Tristan Knowles able to line the seams up from 3, and the Spartans might be thankful that he wasn't able to make that one. Ball back to Laird, drives baseline, Popel's cut off by the screen. He goes middle, Bartley's shot's a little long.
Rollerhawks defense being very, very, very fast to lock out those shooters.
Knowles drives baseline. Mid-range banker, measures it again.
Spartans again, as with the first quarter, kind of not shutting down Knowles enough and allowing him to kind of run the show at this point.
Ball skip back to Laird. Forward back on the floor, providing the screening. The shot clock running down yet again. Ethan Laird guarded by 2 much taller defenders. Elliott, the primary there, able to inhibit any shot opportunity. Shot clock expires.
And also kind of controlling the vision that he had of the court, getting in his way and not allowing him any passing opportunities out of there.
Knowles fakes the 3. He positions himself to the free throw line, wheels around. Finds Elliott. He waits for Popel to get in position. Popel comes back. Hannah Dodd, fantastic offensive rebound. Back to Knowles. Always the best time to shoot a 3 from a kick out from an offensive rebound. Buxton with the ball. That's almost not high enough. Fullwood's shot is off. The extreme baseball pass finds a streaking Tristan Knowles. He's not going to miss that one. Eight seconds in the backcourt. But a team has that amount of time to advance the ball out of their backcourt. If they don't, they would turn it over, as the Spartans did then.
Spartans doing that a lot. Even the times that they do get it over the half, they're kind of wasting a lot of their time. And we've seen that shot clock ticking down very quickly, kind of putting a lot of pressure on the Spartans to take shots that they're not too comfortable with.
Knowles adds 3 more.
Speaking of shots that they're comfortable with, Tristan Knowles at the 3.
Incredibly, with just 30 seconds left in this third quarter, it's 23-2. The Roller Hawks have really taken up the challenge. As Tristan Knowles unceremoniously dumps Ethan Laird on his drive to the basket.
Ethan being quite a light player in a very light chair. Will show a lot of contact as soon as he's hit. He will hit the ground.
Speaking of chair technology, Campbell, I know Campbell Message was in his bounce stop feature. It was talked about how old his chair was, and he thought it was a very amusing story to tell. Well, how much has the technology changed in the type of chairs we see on the floor here?
There's a couple of things that have changed, really. The materials that you use, so a lot of higher-end chairs will now be made out of titanium, which is quite light and allows players to get a lot more speed than dragging along a very heavy chair. But you also see varying stances with especially the back 2 casters. Occasionally you'll only have one back wheel, which can be a little bit of a risk if someone slams in right behind you. They show a lot more contact in there. And that's kind of changed over the years, but most chairs being pretty standard now, other than the height, obviously.
As we see Knowles just holding the ball here, so Wollongong can take the last shot of the quarter. The shot clock is off. So it runs down under 5, but they've managed to turn it over. Fullwood attempted a half-court shot there from Jordan Bartley, falls short, but quite a startling response there from the Wollongong Roller Hawks, just totally dominating that third quarter.
Yeah, this is exactly what I was expecting from the Roller Hawks, to kind of come out firing, and the Spartans kind of that break being maybe a little too much for them. Maybe kind of, I mean, we saw from Binns not hitting his shots in this second half. Maybe that cool down was just a little too much, and the Roller Hawks having that confidence and that kind of veterancy behind them to just keep moving on, keep playing.
Do you think almost this is in microcosm the Spartans season, being such a young team and their leader being the youngest member of the Rollers squad, Ethan Laird, that they're very much in the developmental stage as a National League team?
Yeah, absolutely. I think they're a very strong team. Obviously, they have very good points of play, and obviously we saw that in the second quarter, a really, really strong passage of play there. But they don't necessarily have the knowledge and the forward thinking to kind of keep that flowing and allow that to keep running, and obviously they do have coaching staff behind them, quite experienced coaching staff behind them, but it's a difficult thing for players who aren't quite as experienced to keep that flow of the game continuing, and to keep level-headed. I mean, we've seen Ethan Laird get a little bit fired up going into this last quarter, so I think it's a testament to their age and obviously to their fight and their willingness to get involved, but could be their detriment.
If you're enjoying this broadcast or have managed to take an interest in the league in its revamped version, first time there's been a full home and away season of a National Wheelchair Basketball League for men and for women since 2022. Next weekend will be the finals in Shell Harbour. They've got the League Wheelchair Basketball running their awards night, with thanks to the Beluga Foundation on Friday night, annual awards. And then on Saturday we'll see the top 4 men and women's teams play off in a 1v2, 3v4 format on Saturday morning. The loser of the 1-2 will play the winner of the 3-4 Saturday evening. All those games will be telecast on YouTube. And on Sunday, the grand finals and the third place playoffs, all coming from Shell Harbour Stadium. So 10 games to look forward to next weekend, Campbell.
Yeah, it could be a really good showing. I think a lot of these teams coming into the league and having a really, really strong season, so it could be a really strong end.
Okay, but back to matters at hand. Southern Districts have got a 10-point deficit to overturn. As Jordan Bartley drives baseline for them. They're in the white uniforms. This game coming to you from Roland Cowan Stadium. Southern Districts, the home of basketball, their sponsor, Carina Leagues Club. And the visitors, the Wollongong Roller Hawks, sponsored by Just Better Care. Shot clock violation there again. It's been an all too familiar refrain in the second half. As the Roller Hawks kick the ball across, Tristan Knowles drives middle. He's generally thinking pass. Finds Luke Popel. His long range shot is off. Ethan Laird just glides down the floor. Cut off by Hannah Dodd. Back to Laird. His three-pointer, as his body language showed, did everything but drop. He's going to have to get himself up defensively. He was just almost oblivious to the fact that Hannah Dodd had sealed him off and allowed that layup.
I think it's a difficult decision to make at that point to decide what player to go defend.
Jordan Bartley now with the ball. Back to Laird. He saves it from going back court. Jake Fullwood rises up in his chair. Can't get that to go. Possibly a touch outside his preferred range. Knowles drives middle. Transition. Kicks back. Elliott. His shot is off. Laird the rebound. Spartans looking for transition, cut off. Ball finds its way to Buxton on the other side of the floor. He thinks shot, starts to lose balance a bit. Bartley back to Laird, expertly caught. Hannah Dodd's all over him. Some contact, he's not happy, but shots off, and the Roller Hawks are often rolling. Knowles thought about baseline drive there. Cut off by Bartley. Finds Elliott inside. Can't get that to go.
Really unfortunate not to convert there with that little skip pass.
Bartley drives baseline. Looks for a pass. Laird reverses. Try and set things up. Buxton comes across. Laird looks at three. That's long. Here's Knowles cruising down. There's a bit of contact. Ball's deflected out of bounds. Will stay with Wollongong.
Laird just getting a little bit in his head there, kind of dropping his head after that shot, and I think that's kind of what we were speaking about before, that ability of some of the older players to kind of keep level-headed and keep moving on after things don't necessarily go their way.
Yeah, it's maybe where Southern Districts, with not having a huge collection of veteran players, the people who can maybe have seen things happen many times and can put things in context. As Tristan Knowles can't get that to go, and Elliott again has one bobble out. I beg your pardon, it was Russell, that missed shot, but Southern Districts nonetheless going the other way. Jordan Bartley. Ethan Laird. Thinks better of the three this time. Great option. Jordan Bartley screened, rolled, got the pass back, calmly made the layup.
And that's exactly what the Spartans need. They don't need fancy shots, they just need to consistently get those inside points and kind of bring this deficit back.
I think we'll probably see that in the evolution of Ethan Laird's game. Ethan Laird, the playmaker, becoming more prevalent and learning the very tricky balance between scoring and playmaking.
I mean, that's what we're seeing from Tristan Knowles in this game. 17 points, but also 8 rebounds, 9 assists. Knowing when to take those shots and when actually you've got better options and trusting your teammates.
As head coach Thomas Kyle calls a timeout. It's probably a very appropriate time, a little under 6 minutes remaining. The last quarter of this final round clash. Southern Districts held a 9-point half-time lead, which quickly evaporated in the third quarter. And they'll be trying to scheme in the timeout as to what way they could possibly find to get themselves back into the contest.
It's interesting in this game, the Spartans coming out with scoring opportunities that have come through players who, in the previous 2 games of this set, haven't necessarily been there, and their main scorers not being quite as strong, with Jordan Bartley only having 4 points, having 11 rebounds. But obviously the power of Zach Binns, 12 points, Forward, 12 points as well. I think it's the Spartans are kind of having to switch up a little bit and play to what their strength is showing, instead of trying to push a strength that isn't necessarily showing up today.
The Spartans in the white back on the floor.
Again, the Roller Hawks just taking their time to get back from their huddle.
Possibly the sign of a veteran team.
Just taking as much time as they're going to be allowed.
Luke Copel can't get that first free throw to go. Wobbles the second in. Comfortably packing the paint. As Ethan Laird drives down the right hand side of the floor. Back to Zach Binns. Back to Laird. Almost inviting him to look at the 3 or the long 2. He goes the latter of those, the long 2. And calmly sinks it. Knowles uses the screen of Elliott. Comes back across. Second screen from Russell. Shot clock running down. Knowles. Skip hook pass. Popel shots off. That pass will be too long for anybody.
I think
Right idea.
if anyone was going to be able to collect that, Ethan Laird would have been able to get there, but just a little too long. Spartans having a lot stronger of a defense there and a lot louder of a defense there. You could hear them screaming on court, calling out to their teammates.
Popel drives baseline. Finds Knowles. He gets it back from Russell. Tilts back in his chair. Has to shoot the fadeaway there. And it's off. Jordan Bartley exploring. Transition. Almost had a lane there. Thought better of it. Back to Binns. Gets the handoff. Back to Laird. Laird for 3 from the top of the key. It's a little short. Knowles corrals the rebound. Streaks down. So Binns comes to meet him. His bank shot is off. Bartley again. Both teams doing an excellent job of getting back and denying any primary opportunities. Ball goes back to Forward, is back on the floor. He sets himself at the elbow and makes a nice jumper.
Spartans showing a really strong end here. Not willing to give anything up.
Knowles down the other way, guarded by Bartley. Russell comes to set the screen, slips. Knowles looks at 3. Down it goes. Almost inevitable with a 40% shooter that at some stage in the game he's going to make you pay for not running him off that 3-point line.
And you don't want to risk him getting easy layups, but you have to respect that he can shoot those threes very consistently.
And Australian junior representative Zach Benz shows that he can do that as well. Does the Russell from the top of the key, but he's just simply not guarded on the way back down the floor. Spartans defence fanned out left and right and presented huge opening for Knowles. Laird drives baseline, finds some contact. Whistle a fraction late, but quite decisive. Sean Russell looks around, feigning confusion. Or maybe he's genuinely confused.
I think again with players that are so light and in chairs, as we were talking about, that are so light, any little contact can show quite a lot, and a lot of these veteran players thinking maybe that contact was more a product of outside situations than a foul being committed.
I think the best players have the capacity to make something appear like potentially not exactly what it is. It's part of the art. As Popel's cut off baseline, but finds a rolling Russell. Exasperatingly for him, he can't get that to go. Margin at 8. Still all to play for here for Jake Forward's shot. Tantalisingly in and out. Just 2 minutes remaining. You think Wollongong might take a little bit of air out of the ball here. Try and use their full 24 seconds. Tristan Knowles tries to drive baselines. Cut off. Finds a bit of contact. He's almost out of his chair, but managed to find Popel, who calmly banked it in to push the margin back to 10.
And we saw Knowles there kind of calling to his team, slow it down, slow it down. They're really looking to waste a lot of this time, knowing the Spartans do still represent a threat here.
Laird with the 360, looks inside. Bartley finds Binns, gets that elbow nice and high, but can't get the shot to go. It's now Popel. He probably had a lane to the basket, but happy to roll out and run some time. Finds Knowles, drives middle, bit of contact, take forward, contacting Tristan Knowles on the arm there, quite clear. As the Spartans call their last time out. Just a minute remaining, 10 points. It would take a strange confluence of events, Campbell, wouldn't it?
I mean, that second quarter really, we saw that they could do it. Spartans absolutely could do it in a minute here. Stranger things have happened, but certainly a difficult thing for them to do. And the power of the Rollerhawks, really, they know how to play this game. They know how to slow things down, and really, as we've seen, that they force the Spartans to waste all of their time, especially when the Spartans are in offense. The Rollerhawks really know how to milk that time.
Might the Spartans look at intentionally fouling here, not an unsportsmanlike foul, but intentionally fouling to stop the clock and trying to perhaps identify players in the Rollerhawks who they're happy to have go to the free throw line?
I think that's the thing. They certainly would be willing to do that, but they've got to pick their target really clearly. I mean, we saw that last night in their second clash with Sean Russell going to the line a few too many times and taking foul shots that he's very comfortable taking. But if they can manage to get those fouls on lower point players or lower percentage players, they could stand a chance there.
So we see Tim Markrow on the floor for Wollongong. Number 8. Bills inbound, and Nakia Fatau on the floor for Southern Districts. Luke Popel Can't get that one to go. It's uber urgency now for Southern Districts. Ethan Laird for 3 from a good few feet outside that 3-point line. Cuts it back to 7.
Again,
Clock stops on a made score, so
again, the Spartans not willing to give anything up. We knew that they'd come out fighting.
Into the game for the first time, number 10, Zach Ewer, and number 24, Mitch Duncan.
Zach Iwa on the floor. As the wrong man finds the ball in the right spot but can't make it go. Tristan Knowles. Southern Districts. Laird streaking away. Just can't reel that pass in.
I think his own speed getting a little bit ahead of him.
So now we've got another timeout. Just 29.8 seconds remaining. 7 points the margin. Wollongong will have the ball from the baseline, or if they choose to advance it, from the front court.
I think this will be a really important passage of play for the Rollerhawks to see how much time they can waste here. If they can get those fast passes and not allow any fouls, or at least if there is going to be a foul, force it to be an unsportsmanlike. These are certainly the players that would know how to do that. That I wouldn't put it past the Spartans to catch up here, but certainly a difficult thing to do.
So Wollongong has the ball from the baseline. In theory, they have 24 seconds they can utilise, but with just 30 seconds remaining in the game, you'd imagine Southern Districts will look to steal or foul. At least pressure as they're doing. Popel drives baseline to Markrow. His shot's just off. Russell with the rebound. Has fouled on his spinning attempt.
Again, the man that you don't want to have at the foul line.
Still plenty to take away, regardless of how this one finishes and how it looks like it's going to finish. We've spoken a little before as Sean Russell makes both those to push the margin to back out to 9. Sort of academic now for Southern Districts. Laird launches another long 3. It falls harmlessly away. Tim Markrow allows it to go out of bounds. And Southern Districts will let the clock run down now. As the ball's tucked up. 9, and a really respectable showing from Southern Districts. In all 3 games, they've been highly competitive this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot to be proud of, especially with players who are probably not quite at the level of some of the Rollerhawks, and showing that they can be competitive. And certainly the powerhouse of Ethan Laird. I think there's a lot to be proud of in a lot of these games, and a lot to look back on and kind of analyse where things went right, where things went wrong. And I think they'll be doing a lot of that this afternoon.
As mentioned, the regular season wraps up today. That win for Wollongong is hugely crucial. That'll cement their spot in second position behind the Darwin Salties, who they will play in the major semi-final next weekend. Next weekend, of course, is the National Wheelchair Basketball League and the Women's National Wheelchair Basketball League finals. All 10 games from there will be broadcast on Saturday and Sunday from Shell Harbour. In the meantime, you can catch up on all the wheelchair basketball news on the Wheelchair Basketball Australia website, which is provided thanks to Beluga Foundation, along with all their excellent social media resources. Facebook, it's Wheelchair Basketball Australia, Instagram at Wheelchair Basketball Australia, or even Twitter, or X as it's called now, at Wheelchair Hoops. And the website itself, wba.net.au, some fantastic information, all the scores, stories, highlights. on the YouTube site. You can look for the excellent Bounce Stop editions. And we will join you next weekend from the finals in Shell Harbour. My name is Brendan Parnell, and Campbell, Campbell Fraser, any final thoughts?
I think it'll be fantastic finals coming into this weekend. I think we've seen a lot of competitive nature coming out of these teams. Looks really good.
Right, well, that's all for today, and we look forward to joining you next weekend.